What's going on YouTube? It's Tuxin here with a new video for you today, and we're going to be doing a mod, maybe a couple of mods on the Fast and Furious cabinet. Let's make this thing a little bit nicer, shall we? So let's see what we got going on today. First mod we're going to be doing today is the LED button mods from DIY Retro Arcade. I got my buttons right there, and I got the wire harness right here. This is the plug for your power adapter. I'm probably going to strip some of this wire off and splice it to the main power supply board because I don't want to have 5,000 things plugged into my power strip. We'll do that first to see how that goes. It should be pretty simple. First simple step, remove all the screws from the front panel, and then we'll pull this bad boy off. Disconnect the power cables from the back, and then we have to take off this plastic cover so we can access the buttons. Here is the panel cover removed. This is a very simple process. All we have to do is remove the connectors from the buttons, and then we're going to pinch the sides and push them out. Now, like every mod, if you're having issues getting the connectors off the buttons, you always want to use a small flat edge of a knife. You go into the prongs and pull them back slightly, not too much, just to get them off. And then once you slide the new buttons on, you can use a pair of pliers and pinch them back on there nice and tight. So as we're getting our buttons all set up, I already got two replaced. I found out a pretty cool trick. Now, some people probably already know this, but I just found this out to be real helpful. When you're pulling your connectors off, you're gonna get that little rubber plastic here and your finger starts to slide off a little bit. If you hold the connector with a piece of paper, like a tissue paper or something dry, the connectors come off a lot easier. Your fingers don't really slide off of the buttons as much. Look at that, that's so much simpler. So that's a little tip for you guys. You learn something new every time you do a mod, right? The buttons are in. They look okay, everything looks good here. Now we gotta flip it back over and we have to install the wire harness. One thing about this panel here is it has the wires pretty much set up there, so it makes this cover a little bit difficult to get off. Now you can disconnect it from the PCB if you want, but I'd rather not. I don't think I need to for this mod. I was able to access everything I needed to. Now we're gonna get our wire harness. Now when you're installing your buttons, the wires do not matter which side they go on. Positive or negative, it doesn't matter, because when you hit the button, it closes the circuit and that registers a button input. However, for the LED lights, it does matter. It is very important. So on these particular buttons, there is a arrow on both sides to tell you which one is positive and negative, and I've oriented them the correct way on every button so they're all set up properly. Now we just have to hook up this daisy chain wire correctly, and then after that we'll be cutting. No, we're not going to cut the whole wire off, we're just going to expose some of the wire to see if we can splice that into the power supply from the arcade one up. Hopefully that works. We'll try it out. And before I plug that in, I'm going to use another power supply so I don't fry anything before I hook it up to this. We'll test it out on that first and we'll see how that goes. So in order to get the power adapter cable through, we're gonna have to drill a hole through the plastic to feed this through. It looks a little sloppy, but if you have a file, you can file that down and make it look nice and neat. Now we got this through. Then I'm gonna strip a little bit of this off the end. Don't know if this is gonna work yet, so let me try it first. I'm not gonna tell you to go ahead and cut anything, but we'll see if that works first. And now, before we do that, we're going to grab some zip ties and we're going to tidy this up because we have a big mess of wires here. So we got to clean all this up. So here it is. I put zip ties around the spare wires because this daisy chain gives you tons of extra connections. And I hooked it up to a spare arcade one-up power supply, and the buttons are all illuminated. So now we just got to tidy this all back up. Flip the deck over and look at that bad boy, looking pretty sweet. Now the live button was actually white and I didn't realize this when I ordered it, so I actually got a yellow one, but it looks fine. Yellow is the live logo anyway, and the orange also looks a little bit brighter than the yellow, but remember the camera is not showing it as well. But hey, so far so good. Just gotta screw this back in together, and then we're gonna hook it all back up. Alright, so here it is. The mod is done and everything looks good. Now I actually did not splice the power cable because the cable was so thick and insulated that I was having a really hard time cutting the wire, and I didn't want to score it and accidentally cut too deep and destroy everything. So I decided to just go ahead and use that power adapter. Now my power cable, my power strip looks like a Sega Genesis with a 32X and Sega CD attached. There's these big giant bricks everywhere and I really don't like that. But for now we're just gonna have to deal with it. Just make sure everything works here. Now these are really bright. The screen, okay. Up and down is working. Left and right. I didn't touch the pedal, so that should be fine. That works. Hit the music button, which also acts as the start button sometimes. And we'll test one more button to make sure everything's all working. The live button will bring up the menu. And let's hit music. Alright, everything looks good. Everything is working. Awesome, I love it. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. It was really fun to put this project together. I want to do a big shout out to Half a Dozen. Check out his channel. Subscribe if you haven't. He did the mod first with the light buttons. And he also told me where to get these buttons from. So that's where I ordered them from DIY Retro Arcade. Thanks a lot, Half a Dozen. You're the man. And we'll catch you on the next mod video. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.